This was a long-planned assassination attempt. The terrorists raised their missile sights and locked onto the president's private jet. Then they took out a newly developed surface-to-air missile and fired it at the plane. The missile trailed a trail of white smoke as it raced toward its target. The president's plane detected the incoming missile and immediately prepared to release a jamming bomb. But at the critical moment, the computer suddenly went black. The president's personal bodyguard, seeing the situation, immediately notified the security personnel on board to enter a combat situation. Then he rushed into the presidential lounge and escorted the president to the cargo hold. The missiles were 2.5 minutes away from hitting the plane. The bodyguard had no choice but to shove the president into the escape hatch. The bodyguard then closes the door, hits the activation switch, and sends the pod out of the plane. Then the security guards all jumped out of the plane as well. But strangely, none of the parachutes opened. It turns out the president's personal bodyguard was working with the terrorists. The bodyguard then calmly jumped out of the plane. At the same time, the terrorists launched a surface-to-air missile, which quickly passed the bodyguard. They struck the presidential jet in the clouds, along with 3 F-16s escorting the plane. The plane crashed out of control and landed in a forest in Finland. The Pentagon monitored Air Force One's distress and the loss of the president's escape pod. The Secretary of Defense immediately set up an emergency command center and dispatched SEAL Team 6 to search for the president. The president, trapped in his escape hatch, was spotted by a boy hunting in the jungle. The boy approached with a bow and arrow. He knocked curiously on the door, thinking that his bodyguard is approaching. The president writes the code to open the hatch on the window of the escape hatch. The cautious boy entered the code and quickly hid. The president then opened the door and realized that his rescuer was a young boy. When the boy found out that he was the president of the United States, he immediately escaped with him. By the time the bodyguards arrived with the terrorists, the president had already disappeared. The boy who saved the president is actually a hunter in the local tribe, because the tribe has a rule. As long as the boy reaches the age of 13, he has to go deep into the jungle alone for 2 days to hunt a wild animal, so as to prove his strength. Unexpectedly, he saved the president of the United States. The next day, the boy is on his way to evacuate with the president and actually finds a large number of bodies of security personnel. The president realizes that there is a traitor within, so he rushes to pick up his submachine gun from the ground. But just then he realizes that his personal bodyguard is chasing him from the bottom of the mountain with the terrorists.